Okay, hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I begin with this lesson, I want to start by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashem is the name, Rakakwadash is the Holy Spirit. All right, and double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone, who do well and teach well. Shalom to the hopeful elect and your argument, your buzz pushing this word throughout the four corners of the earth with all truth and sincerity, making your calling and election sure, man. Hey, shalom, shalom. And I'm gonna let this play out because the elder, he posted this video and there was a prophecy that caught my attention that is, in the book Revelations, the 6th chapter. So I'm gonna bring it out, just further proving that we're closer to the end than what we think. That's in the book of Romans, the 13th chapter and the 11th verse, which I will get. But let's go ahead and get straight into this.
The federal stormtrooper militia that is wreaking havoc on American streets are not assembled for collecting immigrants. Make no mistake, after the immigrants are rounded up, the federal government will not downsize the federal stormtrooper militia. They are only just beginning. They are actively hiring thousands more stormtroopers. When they are low on immigrants to target, they will begin placing American citizens on lists and rounding them up.
And this is why you're starting to see a lot of, Southern Kingdom, Jake's just getting, thrown in there, and these other nations and, Americans, damn near just getting thrown into these, camps because they're getting ready to target, the regular folk. Right?
Anyone who resists or objects to the New World Order will be disappeared.
And that's also how we're at the end, because this is Esau, Edom, preparing that table, getting ready to eat off of it, pursuant to the book of Job. And I'm going to just go through the spirit. Let's get that. This is the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, talking about setting up his new world order, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So there's no coincidence that in the midst of him setting up his new world order that we're in right now, you're having talks about Iran, Russia, and China, and all these other nations, really, Mexico, Canada, Venezuela, you can go on and on and on. All these other nations, also getting ready to go into war. Because it's not a coincidence that, you're getting ready to have World War III in the midst of Esau, Edom, getting ready to set up his new world order, because it said when he is about to fill up his belly, not when it's already set up. So you're going to start seeing, shipping stations, these different military camps, the CBDCs being made manifest more and more, he goes on to mentioning it, the dollar collapsing and so on and so forth. But in the midst of this, what do you have brewing? World War III. You have all these nations getting ready to come at each other, and it's biblical prophecy. So it's gonna what? It's gonna be in the midst of him setting up his new world order. So as he's doing this right now in our time, how are we perceiving this? We're seeing the downfall of America, Babylon the Great, but we're also seeing the high tensions of World War III, right? And this is real life. This is why we need to stick to the prophecies, because again, this is what shows you that we're on the right track and that what we say is on point. This is why the elders and the apostles at Great Millstone, man, they are the true leaders. They're the true teachers of the scriptures. The closer we get to the end of this thing, the more it's going to reveal itself, man, because what the prophecies that our elders have been talking about over, decades and decades and decades is now coming to pass, and what we have entered into their labors of works, their fruits. And, now we're teaching it, but we got to keep on warning our people, stretching out that arm until all the elect is sealed, and then the end will come. So we're still not there yet. Brothers and elders, they say that the elect has already been sealed, so hey, that could very well be the case. We're just waiting on, maybe them to be built up to a certain level, but nonetheless, we do understand that we're at the end. So let's let this play out and further prove that.
The real reason this is all happening is because the American economy has already collapsed and rounding them up. Anyone who resists or objects to the New World Order will be disappeared. The real reason this is all happening is because the American economy has already collapsed. They are anticipating civil unrest. The US dollar crashed.
They're anticipating civil unrest. That's in the book of what? Second Esdras, the 9th chapter. Let's go ahead and get that. Again, further proving that we're at the end. All right. It's the book of Second Esdras, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, uproars of the people in the world, and earthquakes, man, they've been going crazy for the past couple years now, but a big part that's happening right now, these different uproars, having all these different protests around the world. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. You see, so these are signs of the end manifesting itself. The uproars of the people, World War III, the dollar collapsing, so civil unrest, so on and so forth, man. All this stuff is a sign that we're at the end. But again, this is not going to be citing, or how do you say, it's not going to be made known unto these people until it's too late. The scriptures say in the book of Matthew, as in the days of Noah were, so shall also be the coming of the Son of Man be. Right? You're going to have people still marrying, still giving into marriage, still, buying and selling, still living life, right? How things are normal because what? They're not paying attention to what's really happening in the world. And this truth, this word is going to, go void, and they're going to be those foolish virgins that didn't stack up enough oil pursuant to the book of Matthew, 25th chapter. And they're going to be lost and judged here during the time of Jacob's trouble, which is what? Just SHTF, right? Shit hitting the fan. You go on YouTube, you search up SHTF videos, preppers, whatever, whatnot. That's what they're talking about, is in the scriptures known as Jacob's trouble. So only the elect is going to make it through this time of Jacob's trouble via miracles and faith, man. Because what? The Lord's going to feed us. The Lord's going to give us those daily things that we need, pursuant to the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter. Because people always ask, well, what are you guys going to do to prep, right? What are you guys going to do to make it out of this time that we're coming into? You see the dollar collapsing. You see, people are going to uproar. You're going to, the stores are going to go empty. There's going to be no more food. Water's going to be scarce, so on and so forth, right? People always ask us, what are we going to do? We're going to lean upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai, like as it says in the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter. But let's also get this real quick. Isaiah 56, or is it 55 or 56? Give me 1 second. And that's why it's important to read, man. Because what? There's been multiple... Oh, that's the precept I was going to get. This is why it's important to read, because there's multiple accounts in the scriptures when men of the Lord have went through dark times and they were delivered, via miracles. And that's the type of faith that we got to have coming into this time of Jacob's trouble. But nonetheless, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 14, and I'm going to read up. I'm going to start at verse 12. The word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Son of man, when the land sinneth against me by trespassing grievously, right? People here in America, Babylon the Great, go off all day, right? They sin all day. Then will I stretch out my hand upon it, and will break the staff of bread thereof, and will send famine upon it, and will cut off man and beast from it. So that's what's getting ready to come down the pipeline, man. Famine, right? It's going to come down in the way of, Esau, Edom shutting down these stores, shutting down these, grocery stores, these the ways we normally get water, and so on and so forth, man. These different lines. Esau, Edom's going to use that to his advantage, right? And that's in the book of Psalms 17 and 13, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, remember, the Most High uses Esau, Edom, right? The elites of these people, the elites of Esau, Edom, right? These white folks that truly control the world, the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, these banker families. They're going to use water and food to their advantage to coerce people to taking that charagma, that RFID microchip. All right, but what is it going to say? Verse 14, though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, saith the Lord Yahweh. All right. Real quick, Isaiah 65. So like it. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and verse 13. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servants shall eat. And who are his servants, man? Those that go out to the highways and the hedges, those that are making these lessons, those that read, those that study, those that, bring out this work. Behold, my servants shall, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for a joy of heart, but ye shall cry for a sorrow of heart, and shall howl for a vexation of spirit. So what? During the time of Jacob's trouble, brothers, we're going to be turning up. We're going to be good because what? We're going to know that the kingdom is down the street. We've been waiting for this. We've been prophesying about this. We've been bringing this out. And guess what? It's finally time. It's finally time. All right, let's go on to the video.
Years ago, they have been artificially propping it up by printing money out of thin air. This is what has been done to every economy that has collapsed right before the collapse. Very soon, toilet paper will cost $1,000 US.
Very soon, toilet paper will cost $1,000 US. Where is that in the Bible? Because that's a big thing, right? That's a big prophecy right there. That's something notable, right? This is the book of Revelations. If I'm not mistaken, it's either 6 and 6. Or, yep. Here it is. This is the book of Revelations, the revealing of the end times. What did he just say? Soon, toilet paper is going to cost $1,000. It's not just going to be toilet paper. It's going to be any little thing that's going to cost so much, right? Your bread. You go to the store, you buy some bread. You're going to realize that shit's going to cost you 1,200 USD. And be like, what the fuck? Because they need to get rid of this old system, which is hella taxed, hella expensive. And you know what's crazy? Now that I think about it, I work in a company where our old product was super much more expensive. And, when you move them to this new product, it's a lot more cheaper and a lot more, convenient for them. And, it's almost like a set of relief, like saving people almost, $1,000, man, just to move them over to this new product. So that's how it's going to be. Everything is so damn expensive. We take this Karagma, this RFID microchip, and you can, come get your bread and, your regular stuff for a lot lower price. So it's the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 6. And I heard a voice from among the living beings saying, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. And don't waste the olive oil and wine. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this out on the GNT. But I just wanted to show you things are going to cost a day's wage. So back then in the ancient world, you used to get paid by the day, right? So on this side, we get paid what? Bi-weekly. So what he said was exactly right. Hey, a piece of bread is going to cost you 1,300, 1,200, $980, $870 for some bread, because on this side, we don't get paid every day. We get paid bi-weekly or weekly, right? So the prophet, he just seen this, and he's like, damn, these people are going to be paying, their whole paycheck and, just to get a little fucking piece of bread. Right? So this is the type of time that we're coming into. And it's also a sign of what the end of the world. And the end of the world doesn't mean fucking the movie 2012. It means the end of Esau, Edom's rulership, which is going to go out through, fucking a hard time, right? SHTF. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 6 in the KJV. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou heard not the oil and the wine. Why? Because oil and wine in the scriptures are likened unto wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Or, because, you have the wine, you have those that are already, filled up with their own thoughts and ways of thinking, old bottles that can't put in new wine. So, that's that parable. So when you go into the oil and the wine, it's talking about this truth, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. brothers, us that have this, I self, us that have this understanding of the scriptures, we're gonna be good during these times. We're not gonna have to worry about our paycheck, losing your job, so on and so forth, for the sake of not taking the charagma, right? Brothers, don't just be fucking quitting your job and shit just to do it. No, I mean the CBDC comes out, we still might use it for a little bit. It's all good, but it's the RFID microchip that's where it matters, man. All right, because we might use the CBDC for a bit. We might still be in society running off of CBDC. Brothers having it on their phone and whatnot. But the charagma, the mark, the Revelations 13 mark, right? The mark of the beast. That is the RFID microchip, or that Neuralink chip in the head. And it might be a different company. It might not even just be Neuralink, because you have a lot of different investors and people that make their own forms of these different devices that are for the future, right? So, yeah, man, this is the type of time that we're coming into. Again, proving that we're at the end.
They pumped the economy up with printed money to keep the illusion going while they make power moves in the background. They took that printed money and funneled it all into the military and the big bullshit bill.
They funded it all back to the military. Why? Because they know that we're getting ready to go into World War III. It's biblical prophecy. It's in the scriptures. And it's happening right in front of our faces now. Ezekiel 12th chapter.
So they could fund the stormtroopers and the colonization of South America. The reason they are colonizing South American oil is simple. They need tangible assets to maintain wealth and power after the US dollar eats shit. Their Middle Eastern backers in Qatar gave them the blueprint for transitioning America out of democracy and into an oligarchy dictatorship.
Yep, because the US dollar is really backed by oil. It's not backed by gold or anything, because it's just a fiat currency, man. The dollar here is really not worth anything. If you go out, take out that piece of, that $10, $20 bill, it really is only as valuable as you people make it out to be. It's really not worth anything. You can't do anything with it. There's no backing to it. It's just plummeting. Soon people are going to be using that dollar to wipe their ass and blow fucking nose.
By owning and controlling the oil and energy supply.
So when shit's the fan, Esau Edom is going to go ahead and try to control these, tangible assets, how he just said, to go ahead and, stay in a power, in a state of wealth and power. But the thing is, in his venture to do this, he's going to stumble upon running into World War III.
Why? They explained the collapse of the US dollar to the military generals after they turned the cameras off, and the military has shown it is loyal to the plan and is ready to take Venezuela and Greenland by force. The only chance for freedom and democracy to prevail is a populist uprising, and that must take place.
No.
Shown it is loyal to the plan and is ready to take Venezuela and Greenland by force. The only chance for freedom and democracy to prevail is a populist uprising, and that must take place immediately. If they are able to establish their militia and or establish martial law, the common people will not stand a chance fighting with.
You're already too late. In this biblical prophecy, that's not going to happen. Look, Esau Edom, he has all the things to really make America great again. They just printed out, fucking $150 trillion. Bro, that's enough to give every person here on earth. Damn. I mean, every person here in America. Let's Google it. If you were to have $150 trillion. If you had $150 trillion to divide among all Americans, around 340 million people, each person will receive approximately $441,000. That's a spirit. Look at that. 441, 144, 144,000, man. Call that much more shot. But they can give every person, that homeless man you see in the corner struggling, everybody, $441,000, man. But what? It's biblical prophecy again. So all that we can do things better. No, 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 no. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse, is it 50? No, they don't have 50. Where is it at? Where is it at? I think it might be Jeremiah 51. Yep, Jeremiah 51, Salakia. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 9, straight to the point. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. You see, they have the means, the funds, the resources to go ahead and make truly everybody's livelihood here in America great. You know, there would be no depression, there would be no sadness, there would be, families would be on point, schooling system would be legit, so on and so forth. But the thing is what the wicked are in authority. Right, the wicked beareth rule, and when the wicked are in authority and bear rule, what happens? The people mourn. So yeah, it's not gonna happen. This kingdom has to go down. People are still getting paid fucking $10 an hour, in certain locations and shit, while inflation is going crazy, and Esau, he has the ability to fucking print money out of thin air and shit, So we would have healed Babylon, which is America. This is just prophetically speaking. But she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. When you go on TikTok, what do you hear people saying? Oh, you need to get out of America before shit's the fan. Things are not looking good for America. I'm trying to get out of here. I'm trying to go back to Mex. I'm trying to go back to here. I'm trying to go back there. Hey, that's biblical prophecy, and let us go everyone into his own country, you see? Don't matter where you are in the earth, bro. When shit's the fan, the nukes get sent out. If you're not an elect member, you're going to be fried. You're going to be cooked. All right? So, this is why we come out and teach this. This is why we go out and bring out this word. This is why we tie into everything that's happening around the world through biblical prophecy. Because guess what? No man know the time or the hour. But the scriptures do say that us brothers, we're not in darkness, that day should overtake us as a thief. So what does that mean? We're not going to get caught up out here like Jake is. We're not going to get blindsided. It says, let's bring that out and close out there. Not in darkness. Let's get that. That's in the book of what? 1 Timothy? Oh, 1 Thessalonians, Salakia. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 4. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Right? We're going to know when it's time. We're going to know when shit's a fan. We're going to know when it's time to go ahead and, be his pilgrims upon the earth, man. We're just now waiting for this thing to really escalate to the point where, hey, it is time for thee to work, oh Lord. So, hey, Lord willing, this has been edifying and exhorting to the whole full elect. I want to close out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. I'm going to let this play out a little bit longer and close out.
With only pitchforks and shovels. We are currently living through a critical moment in human social evolution. The founders of the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution knew that this day would come. They wrote in provisions protecting citizens' right to stand up against a tyrannical government. Tyranny and oppression shall not prevail upon American soil, but freedom and liberty will stand.
Too late, too late, too late. Sorry, brother. Sorry, bro. Shit's getting ready to hit the fan side. All right. So with that.